Yeah, and I'm recording this loud, as we thought in the beginning, just right from the beginning, and then we'll decide what we do. Because you know what I've been thinking as I've been preparing, right? So I was like, first I was like, what is the topic? What we are going to talk about? And then it's just, I think the value of these conversations is not the topics, really. It's you and me having a conversation
Yeah.
with whatever what is alive in the moment.
Yeah, it's that witnessing element, being a part of something that's happening between two women that are passionate about exploring these subjects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And essentially craving, same thing. So if creatively speaking, our desire, it's almost like this energy body that is then almost like Earth herself. She has certain gravitation. So the desire is this becomes kind of this something that things gravitate into it if this desire is authentic to others.
Yeah, I agree.
For us, it's elevation of consciousness. We don't want to fight anymore. We want to have beautiful, sexy lives, to enjoy all this planet and each other and take care and not to destroy it, you know, not to destroy it. Very important. We've been successful progressively. We've been kind of moving rapidly in this direction with the way we live and consume and, create so much stuff that doesn't fulfill.
So much stuff. I mean, I feel like on social media, sometimes I get these suggestions, how to tidy up your home, how to declutter. And there's all these systems we have in place to declutter our space. And why is it so hard? Why did these systems have to come to be? Number one, why did we accumulate so many things? And it's like these attachments to these physical objects. And then you have like energetically when your space is cluttered. So when you said stuff, that's where my mind went. There's like stuff
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that are cluttering our minds, there's stuff that's cluttering our space. And then it's this very intense fight we have in our daily lives when those relationships to objects aren't in check. And this is also making me think of when I speak with women who, again, are saying, my sex drive is gone, my libido's gone. Then I ask them, well, what does your home look like? And they're like, confused.
Wow, that's a very interesting point. The reaction, genuine reaction means that what it reflects, to then to you, to us, right? If we together look at it, it means that there is a surprise, that there is, I don't understand how these things are related. I'm coming to you with something that happens in my physiology. I want you to do something that will fix, right, this physiology here, right? Especially if
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming from, and I can be extremely intelligent, educated woman, and that's what is the next heartbreak, because I can be a doctor and I will be in this place. I don't know why it's related, why clutter in my house is any way related to what happens when I've been working from this time to this time, and then prepping meals for kids and da, 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 da. Now we go into the bedroom. I wanted to boom to go, then I will have all these things that are happening in the movies. We'll go to sleep next, and I'm like machine, doof, 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 doof. Right? Why it's not happening? You're not a machine.
Yeah. We're not machines. And then they in part, the doctors have told them the messaging around sex, movies, all of these different containers where we hear about sex, then they end up with the message, I'm broken. So please fix me,
Mhm.
Dr. Norelyn. And I say, okay, all
Right.
right. I'm glad to hear that you're checking your blood work. They're ruling out all of these things with their primary care physician. I said, good job. You looked at that, but
Hmm.
you're not going to
Right.
figure out where your libido went. Um, from there. So when I ask them, well, what does your bedroom look like right now? And they, after absorbing my question and take a moment, then and I said, just humor me. Just if you're open to this process, just answer my questions. And then they have shame come over and they're like, well, it's
Mhm.
messy. I don't, and then before they can even finish their own sentence, they're already explaining to me why their house is messy. And I can see their brain going, because of this, because of this. And I go, it's okay. Thank you for being honest with me.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. When did your bedroom become or lose its sacredness? When did your bedroom become this landing pile for all of your laundry that's unfolded? And they said, well, it's the last room that we clean in the house because the rest of the house is public space. If visitors come and we just shove everything in there. And I
That's
said, okay,
another that's
go
another
ahead.
very interesting observation that there is so I mean, there is a certain nuance. You can imagine someone who is living in a dreamy state, and maybe their laundry is somewhere. It's like the house is disheveled and dreamy, but there is a harmony. You can feel that because I can think about my house. There often can be some disorder of things, but it's like
Sure.
so dreamy. There are butterflies and trees all around, and it's like dancing with the chaos of the life. But there is nothing, and you've seen my home, there is nothing that is like, this is public, this is not. I mean, there is some
Right.
extent of it. I mean, there is some extent, right? Like during the retreat, I opened one room, but not like one is just because
Sure.
it's bedroom and it's sacred. And I don't know, just these
Yeah.
things that we make decisions based on emotion. And I think this is where we are trying to take people to connect these two things to understand what you actually feel and really the process of self-realization, self-awareness is actually a very painful process. It is a very painful process because you begin to realize that disconnect, like first you had to abuse yourself for any kind of abuse to happen. First you had to abandon yourself, you had to not listen to yourself, you had to decide that your feelings are not important, that your thoughts are not important. You had to decide that you need to put, to create some kind of a wall between you and the other, right? What is this when I say public spaces like that, but they're inside, their inside is your holiest of holies. It has to be actually another way around. The bedroom has to be the most, like that's the only room. I don't care. You can have a mess all around, but bedroom, let it be a temple. Your body, but that goes into the body, right? We're talking about this. What about body? People continuously, as a norm, what I find, abuse their bodies. And the system is built in such a way. The system is built that it's demanding you to do it. I don't care how you feel, you need to show up for this and for this. And hold your emotions to yourself.
What's coming to me is the normally when we hear how we abuse our bodies, it's either in the pushing factor, push, 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 burning out. But then there's this other side of that's related to personal grooming and the abuse we can do to our body because we're supposed to. So personal share for years and years and years and years and years. I was ashamed of my underarm hair, my armpit hair, right? And I'm like, okay, because that women, you're supposed to shave it, and that the second I grew it, I was taught to shave it. I don't know, maybe 12, 13 years old, shave, shave, shave. years and years and years and years dealing with ingrown hairs and pain, right? This is how I was torturing my body, because I would every few weeks have
Yeah.
swollen situation. But what was worse in my mind was the shame of somebody else seeing my hair. So I do it again. And literally 5 years ago,
People do such horrible things and we're ashamed of someone seeing our hair.
yeah,
How did we get here, you know? Like people would say terrible things, being president, for example. And that's kind of okay and do terrible things, but to have your hair under your armpits, that creates some kind
too
of a
much.
wave or something. It's too much, you
So
know.
I asked myself, I said, well, who am I
Okay, let me
shaming
write
this for?
down murder, this is okay, but no hair. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I said, who is this for? I'm like, I asked my husband, I'm like, how do you feel if I stop shaving? And he's like, I don't do what you want. And I was like,
Yeah.
cool, right?
And then another thing, like, what? Yeah, right. It's also like versus you ask a girlfriend or just another woman, and
Yeah, and it literally took a year of me with this new relationship to my body hair. And now I can trim it but not shave. And it's just like this whole thing. Like anytime I register not even pain, but like discomfort in my body, I ask, who is this for? Then after the hair, it was like, oh, I'm wearing these bras with underwire. And at the end of
oh
the
my
day,
goodness.
my bra is red underneath my
Hmm.
skin and it feels tender. Who is that for?
And we know now that there's a correlation between those bras and cancer. There is
Yeah.
already research out there.
Yeah.
But I
So,
can tell you that, for example, I have such protruding nipples that unfortunately I know it's going to be super activating if I just walk without bra because they're very visible. And that too, we had with this guy a lot of discussions, especially Middle East, Israel.
yeah.
Like he would be like family events. Like we had this one conversation where he was like, please wear something different. Like, I'm a free woman. But then, this is where kind of wild meets reality and what it
Sure.
means to love another and to also understand, that like that fact that it causes turmoil. That's enough for me to be respectful, just as I
Sure.
want him to be respectful if something causes turmoil, emotionally in me. Because we love each other, we care for each other's emotions as if all of them are my own. It's like I'm rewriting the Bible,
Yeah.
making it
Yeah,
very
there's definitely
specific, very
there's
particular. People constantly misread things, just us, Jesus. What Jesus? Just us.
yeah, there's definitely some, I agree. There's some free the nipple environments, and then there's some, where can I trade the bra that's painful for something that still has some modesty, but I'm still not in pain, right? And I'm thinking of
Right,
the extreme of like wearing the bras that are pushing everything, like there's a soft middle ground without the
right.
wire. And so I've decided for myself, I don't have to wait for pain. I can just wait for discomfort and ask the question, who is this for? What is it serving? And then make a decision based off of that. Because otherwise, I'm moving through the world in these default settings without understanding the reason behind them. And like this, back
Hmm.
to the bedroom and the space that you're cultivating for sensuality. I tell these women, I said, okay, so what is your typical cleaning schedule like in your daily, your month? Now flip that on its head and make it non-negotiable to clean your bedroom. and the bathroom attached to it if it's a master bedroom bathroom situation.
Something that you upkeep, you know. And actually, so many people have enough resources. At least here in California, there are many people who do have enough resources to have someone who will come and help and clean. And there are people who actually like doing it, for whom it's a type of meditation. And if they're reimbursed, you know, they have their businesses. Like if you give this work, like there are other people you can give this work to and, you know, pay them nicely. And they're going to, like, you're going to be also taken off your plate and also actually nurturing someone else in your community.
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I did my fair share of cleaning homes. I did, and I was compensated for it, and it was energetically a really beautiful exchange. You know, I was coming in to do a service. They were compensating me for it. They got to offload, and this particular household that I cleaned for had the resources, you know, and if there's couples that I talk to who don't have the resources to pay somebody else, still possible to shift
Right.
how
Right.
you
You
feel
just decide
about,
this is, yeah. You just
you
decide you
know,
do it once a week. You do it once, you know, depending on your specific situation. Like for us, it's
yeah,
like more 1 in 2 weeks because we just most of the time two of us. And
yeah. And it's just the important thing, I think, is that connection that, oh, I want to fix my libido. Well, that's never going to happen if I can't even treat my own where the sexual activity actually happens, is supposed to happen. Especially if you have kids. Yes, you can have sex wherever you want, but if you have young kids, you might have only the bedroom. So then
Mhm.
treat that space as you would like the sex to show up, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, and you might need to schedule it absolutely if you have children. And but then where I with my clients, what I notice, there is so much emotional heartbreak, and it's like sex cannot have that kind of sex that woman who is connecting to. Yeah, I have different, you know, people who are coming to me. Some of them, there is a big gap between where they are and where their partner is. There is almost like a void between them in a sense, and they speak different languages. They, you know, she's already at the place where she really wants this intimacy and connection and warmth, and he doesn't understand that. And he wants sex, right? Because they don't have it, but he doesn't understand that this is what has to happen, right? So a lot of more men who grew up in traditional cultures, who are coming from traditional patriarchal cultures, where there are different roles assigned to men and a woman, and if you may not know that you need to be at a certain place with yourself emotionally so that you guys can connect. And it's not necessarily a lot of, like, it's not even about money investment or anything. It's just this: I see you, I love you, I'm with you, I hear you, I care about your feelings. And then she opens in her heart, she dilates literally in her heart. The hearts can connect, and then the entire kind of physiology begins to change and alignment begins to happen, you know, in other energy centers. So you connect, so you suddenly feel this wave of sexuality coming through and rising. So even sometimes in our language of how we want to experience the shift, there is this dominative, like, I almost want to say like colonial impulse in a sense. It's like pleasure needs to happen. I need to be able to do, like, you know, like again, like operating yourself as if like there is something I guess I'm trying to communicate. There is certain softening that has to happen here. And it's in a coupleship, both have to work together to make that cure. They have to work together. Yes, it's true. It's very helpful. First of all, women or sometimes men have to build their own sense of self and boundaries. Then you can start doing it. You know, you will naturally be continuing to do so. New boundaries, new relationship occurs and continuously updates.
Yeah, and you spoke about this, the gap that happens when one partner is rejecting sex and rejecting intimacy, and the other partner is then getting more starved from it, and then this gap widens. And I like to talk to my clients when the gap is so wide that they're like conceptually understanding, yes, okay, we need more intimacy, we need more emotional intimacy, but like it's frozen and almost a stubborn stalemate. So what do you do? And I like introducing my couples to this concept called the 5 dimensions of touch. Have you heard of that framework by
Mm-mm.
Barry McCarthy?
No.
It's a beautiful framework that says there's 5 dimensions, and I may mix one of them up, but it's affectionate, playful, sensual, erotic, and intercourse. Now,
Mm-hmm.
affection and intercourse are obvious. Affection is the non-sexual cuddling, hugging, intercourse also obvious. But then
Mm-hmm.
playful, sensual, and erotic, more
Mm-hmm.
confusing for couples. So I say, okay, let's talk about these 5 dimensions and what we think is in each category. And then I ask them, write down separately, don't cheat, make your own list of the rough percentage of each category you think you are experiencing currently. And the first light bulb moment that goes off is like, one person will say, oh, we get about 25% sensual touch. And the other partner is saying, are you kidding me? There's only about 5%. The 5%.
Oh my goodness.
So that's part one. And so then they go, oh, wait, we're disagreeing on what we actually are perceiving as happening. And then we get to talk about it. And then step two is saying, now put a percentage of how much of each you want to have. So then the male partner, let's say, says, oh, well, I would love to have 25% more playful touch. And then the wife maybe is saying, oh, well, I'm not as interested in playful touch, but I need like 50% sensual. And then we go, okay, that's fine that you want different amounts, but like, let's talk about what each one looks like and make agreements to each other that we're going to provide that. And then you get at the end of your week and go, how did we do? And how can we improve the next week?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I realized though that I'm such a person that for me it's just so much not my language. What percent?
I know.
I
It's
mean, like I
funny,
feel like almost I'm an alien. I'm like,
but
really,
it
this is the
works
language.
so well
No
though.
wonder I have a hard time to communicate because I'm like, you just feel your heart and then the energy flows and you just ride the waves.
Yeah, and I mean, what
And
you
none of
share.
us is willing to commit to anything anyway. So
Yeah, and all this is, and
like
I know
I
percentages
love.
sound hard to, how do we measure this? But I'm telling you, it's a really wonderful
Yes,
way to
it's
break
true.
the
Yeah, this is
ice.
the experience, right? Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. For
and
some
if
people, this is the
nothing else,
language.
if nothing else, at least I got them to laugh, The same reaction that you're
Yeah.
having, you're like, what?
Yeah.
It brings like levity to the situation. And then we just have fun talking about, well, what is playful to you then? And we kind of forget
Mhm.
about the percentages. If the couple gets fixated, I don't know how to measure this. I go, okay, that's fine. But let's go high, medium, low. Let's just kind of work with that and get it back. So that I like to also say the fluency of the language of these touch evaporates for these couples, and they only know how to speak intercourse
It
or
it's like, yeah, it's like our food, it becomes nutrient-less. Like it becomes very, in Hebrew we say dal kaloriot. It's very like has a very little value in a sense, because it's like stripped, like when you took out eroticism and
Mm-hmm.
playfulness and I was like sensuality, what is then left? What do you mean? Like intercourse or cuddling? It's just
Mm-hmm.
because the mind lives in the body, and I'm a very much rebel, and I'm very much in my work just cut through the chase. You want, yeah, I guess people who come to me, they want really deep, multifaceted connection to life and pleasure, kind of feeling no separation from the union with divine, just being one with the
Would
energy.
you would you say the types of clients that by the time they've reached you and are investigating, they don't know how to get there, but they know what they want?
I would
Or
say that they're often people who've done quite a lot of psychological work. They already have been in therapy for quite a lot. These are people who are naturally very oriented to self-discover. That kind of a thing, that this human life is here to essentially come into deeper union with yourself as consciousness. That thing has been clear for them for a while. So they for a while trying to be self-aware, and this is their core value. They understand that this is the most important. Of course, everyone wants nice things. Everyone wants to
yeah,
travel. Everyone
yeah.
wants, a lot of people wants, relationship with a couple. Of course, this is what we are here for. And, or kids, the experience of parenthood. This is common. This is kind of by design. I wonder if there are so many people because we are still trying to accomplish this dream, and we don't understand that sometimes consciousness maybe just needs one couple to experience it, or maybe few because it likes diversity in different, it likes diversity a lot. Different love stories, just like we like, when we watch movies and all those different, couple love and family love and, all those beautiful dreams about love. But yeah, I would say these people already have done. This is a very clear value, and there is no question anymore. Yeah, it's kind of past that separation between matter and spirit, or this is not important. There is no denial around it. The opposite, they come to me because they are not able to swim through. It's yeah, that's the whole conversation about what spiritual awakening really is and how painful and energy consuming that is. It requires a lot of your time, presence. It requires a huge ton of courage to be able to face yourself and all those things, because look how you describe what kind of dances you need to do for people to basically be able to face that. You say the shame comes up, and then the shame is so overwhelming that you have to like really dance and walk around it. I'm more like Russian Israeli way. I'm like, "Ugh, what do you guys want? You're essentially like, yeah, she doesn't want to have sex with you. You're essentially like raping her. I mean, we can use different words, but this is what is happening. So yeah, she's not going to be multi-orgasmic. She's not going to want to have sex. You don't know how to have sex with her. Let's learn. Like, and I'm happy to teach, and I'm happy to show you, and I'm happy, but it's not, the work is not there. The drop now idea that you're going to press somewhere or rub somewhere, just drop it. It's about, first of all, coming here into harmony, into balance. And then, of course, there is a lot of pain and tears and, remorse. I would call it remorse over the actions, because this is, once awareness descends, and it continuously descends more and more, it's like I see consciousness opening to us chunk by chunk.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
it sounds like we work with different types of clients for sure.
yeah.
The route through which a good portion of my clients are coming from are referrals from gynecology or referrals from urology. And they have this very like, well, I've done all of the doctor stuff and like my
Mm-hmm.
genitals are not doing what they're supposed to. I can't maintain an erection. And it's very like, what's going on? And I ultimately arrive at the same place that you're talking, but
Mhm.
don't arrive to me with that prioritization yet, or that clear connection of importance spiritually. That's why I think it's way easier for me to go into this percentage talk. Like, let's fine. You
Mhm.
want to fix
Mhm.
something? Then humor my questions. Answer me this. Answer me this. And then we kind of,
Mhm. Mhm.
we end up at the spiritual,
Mhm.
emotional, intimate connection as you, but through different means.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, this was a good shot. We went on quite a journey.
Yeah. Let's do a cut here and then, or yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Hmm.
Let's do